Hello everybody, welcome to the first of my videos where I'm going to be looking at a beanbag. This is my beanbag. No, people always like to take a look at the Playmates Star Trek figures, and so I thought I would go through them, show off my collection, and show off some of the custom figures that I've made, and also all the variations and that kind of thing. And so for the first video, I'm going to start from the beginning, from the original series. The original series, one of the very first things, it wasn't actually part of the first wave of figures that came out, which was actually Next Generation. But then in 95, I think it was, they finally came out with the line of the original series figures, which included the 7 main characters. We've got Kirk, McCoy, Spock here. Spock was one of the first characters that actually came with his hand in a frozen position like this. This is one of those things that some people have complained about over the years, because it's like you couldn't do much more other than that, and like maybe kind of put his hand down on a console as though he was typing. He was left not being able to hold anything in that hand, only in the one hand. But you had Kirk, Spock, McCoy. You had Scotty, the chief engineer. And you had Uhura, which her has got a little scuff there. And then you had Sulu and Chekhov, which, one of the funny things about the Chekhov, and if I can get a hold of another set, I'm going to be fixing them on the other set, because I want to have one set that's left original, is despite the fact that in real life, James Doohan, who played Scotty, was about 6 foot, 6'1", and Walter Koenig, who played Chekhov, was actually about 5'8". If you put the two figures next to each other, you'll see that for some reason Chekhov towers over Scotty. In fact, Chekhov, I believe, is, other than Spock, the tallest figure. Yeah, he's even taller than Kirk, which never made much sense. But I do plan at some point, one of the other customizers, he took and flipped the legs on these two, and it looks much better that way. And that's one thing I'm going to be doing as soon as I can. One of the other things that they did was they put out a set with, it was all of the captains and first officers. It had Picard and Riker in their dress uniform. It had Cisco and Major Kira in their regular uniforms. And it had Kirk and Spock in their dress uniforms. Which, as far as original series dress uniforms, it was these two were the only ones for the longest time. And then I believe it was in about 98. They finally made Dr. McCoy in his dress uniform. I don't have that one yet. Big difference with that is it has the braid across the front is much, much thinner than is on the two of these. Captain and First Officer had the thicker braid. And so that's why they made these. And these are great. The detailing on the little badges is fantastic. Now, the other original series figures that they did eventually come out with the other two big characters from the show, which was Nurse Chapel and Yeoman Rand, who, they weren't in every single episode, but they were major secondary characters from the series. You can see that the sculpt is basically just a reuse of the Uhura sculpt for the body. They did change the neckline for Nurse Chapel just a little bit, and if you look really closely, you can see that they've actually got the little red cross on her badge there. And these head sculpts are actually really nice. You can, on the back of Rand, they did an excellent job with that beehive do all the way around. And then the last set that they did in the original series was for the 25th or 30th anniversary. I'm having a brain fart. It's the 30th anniversary. Deep Space Nine did the episode recaching Trials and The Trouble with Tribbles, and it was called Trials and Tribulations. And for that, they reused the bodies of those figures, and they put the Deep Space Nine crew heads on them. You had Captain Sisko, who was a lieutenant, Dr. Bashir, which I did always liked the fact that they made sure to change his hair on these. They give him more of that 1960s retro look. Then there was Dax, also her spots, of course, removed and given a bun similar to the 1960s look. And then, whoop, I dropped him. There you go. Finally was Chief O'Brien in a crewman's engineering outfit. And so those were the final bit of the original series figures. Like I said, the only one I am currently missing is that dress uniform McCoy, which I do hope to eventually get. I do have a few custom figures I have made. I've got, I believe his name was Commander Thrawn from the animated series, an Andorian who was the first officer in an incident with the gateway that I'm going blank on. The one that helps you travel through time. Well, anyways, this was, I basically just used a Dr. McCoy figure. This is actually a Next Generation Data's head, and I made the antenna myself. And no, I did not put them at the back of the head like the two original series had. I actually put them towards the front, more like Enterprise and the other shows did. Another character from the animated series was Lieutenant Eric's. This was mostly a Sulu that I put an extra leg on the back of, put an extra arm on the front of, made the hands custom sculpted the head. It was quite a bit of work went into this guy. And as you can see, all of the joints are still posable, can still move. Even the head can turn a little bit. Don't want to force that though. And then the last custom I got made for the original series was I wanted a dress uniform of Scotty. This is basically just a Scotty figure, but his legs are switched out for a Luke Wallencheck from the Sequest line. Because he was wearing a pair of shorts. I painted on the socks, and I actually had this material that I put around him for his skirt. And it's great as he can actually sit down in this. And then there's his cloth hanging up off the back. And made the little ridge for the gold down the front and around the neck. And that's all of the original series figures that I have at this point. There was, I believe that was, like I said, I think the only one I'm currently missing is that dress uniform of Dr. McCoy. There's a few others that I intend to make in the near future. But that's it for that one. Thank you.